My husband whispered my twin sister's name against my neck. Sophie. For 3 seconds, I let myself believe I had misheard him. I am Hannah Cole Walker, 32 years old, an emergency room nurse. Ethan and I had been together for 12 years and married for 10. I knew every change in his breathing, every hesitation before a lie. "What did you call me?" He pulled back. I said softly, "My back hurts. I was asking you to move softly." It was a terrible explanation, but marriage teaches you how to accept the lie that hurts less than the truth. Sophie had been staying in our guest room for 3 weeks. Her engagement had collapsed, and she arrived with 2 suitcases and mascara running down her face. Ethan insisted she could stay as long as she needed. My sister and I were identical enough to confuse strangers. The same gray eyes, dark hair, and dimple beside our mouths. But I wore my hair to my shoulders and rarely used perfume. Sophie's hair reached halfway down her back, and Jasmine followed her into every room. The first warning came on a Saturday morning. I found Sophie sitting on the kitchen counter in a thin black camisole, one strap resting below her shoulder. Her bare foot touched the inside of Ethan's ankle while he poured coffee. Neither noticed me immediately. "You're awake," Ethan said, stepping away. That night, he reached for me with an urgency I had not felt in months. He kissed my shoulder, turned my face away, and closed his eyes. "Wear that perfume again," he murmured. "What perfume?" "The jasmine one." "I don't own jasmine perfume." His eyes opened. I must have smelled it on Sophie. "You two are identical, remember?" At 1 in the morning, I woke to an empty bed. A woman laughed near the guest room, low and careful. Ethan appeared from the kitchen moments later in pajama pants, carrying a glass of water. A red mark showed below his collarbone. "You were dreaming," he told me. When he kissed my forehead, Jasmine clung to his skin. The next afternoon, after they both left, I opened our security app. At 1:38 a.m., someone had entered through the back door, using my code. The camera showed Sophie in my coat and hat. Ethan followed her out of the darkness, wrapped an arm around her waist, and kissed her neck before they entered my house. Then the system displayed an older recording. Sophie stood on the porch, wearing the red dress from my first date with Ethan. When he opened the door, he looked directly at her. "Come inside, Hannah." The worst part was not watching my husband kiss my sister. It was hearing him give her my name. I copied the recordings and said nothing. That evening, I told them the hospital needed me for a night shift. I parked 3 blocks away and returned through the basement. The curtains in my bedroom were open. Sophie stood before my mirror in the red dress, her hair styled like mine. Ethan came behind her and placed his hands on her hips. She leaned back while his mouth moved along her neck. They knew each other's bodies too well for this to be new. I recorded from the darkness. Sophie stopped him. "Hannah is suspicious." "She'll believe she imagined it," Ethan said. "She heard you say my name. We only need 3 more days." "And after the anniversary?" "After the anniversary, there won't be a Hannah left to convince." When the lights went out, I entered Ethan's downstairs office. His old laptop was unlocked. The first hidden folder contained photographs of Sophie in hotel rooms, wearing Ethan's shirts, sleeping against his bare chest. The files went back 12 years. The oldest picture had been taken at 2:17 on the morning of my wedding. Sophie sat on Ethan's hotel bed in a white silk robe. His wedding suit hung behind her. Her message read, "One last night before you choose the safe twin." Ethan had answered, "I'm marrying her. I'm not giving you up." My marriage had been a lie before it became a marriage. Another folder was labeled Hannah, Medical. It contained staged photographs of open doors, burnt food, sleeping pills beside wine, and calendar entries for appointments I had never made. They had been manufacturing a breakdown. The final folder explained why. Ethan had increased my life insurance to $2 million using a forged electronic signature. Attached was a map from our house to Blackwater Reservoir and a timetable for our 10th anniversary party. At 8:30, I would receive wine mixed with Sophie's prescription sedative. At 9:15, Ethan would provoke me in front of our guests. The staged photographs would make my collapse appear inevitable. After everyone left, they would place me in my car and send it down the boat ramp into the reservoir. Sophie would wear my coat and drive past a gas station camera first, creating the last image of Hannah alive and alone. One message from Sophie sat at the bottom of the plan. The water will make the pills look like her choice. Ethan replied, then we finally get the life we should have had. I copied every file. For 12 years I had thought I was the wife and Sophie was the secret. Now I understood that I was the insurance policy. I went directly to Claire Bennett, an ER nurse who had worked beside me for 6 years. She watched the recordings twice before speaking. We go to the police. Now. Detective Luis Ramirez listened, but a copied plan was not enough by itself to prove they would carry it out. The forged insurance documents opened a fraud investigation. The messages established conspiracy, but he wanted the original laptop and evidence connecting the sedative to the anniversary. Do not drink anything they give you, he said, and do not confront them alone. We built a safer plan. Claire would attend the party and keep my live audio running. 2 detectives would wait nearby. Once Ethan handed me the prepared glass or admitted what he intended, they would enter. Then I went to my mother. Margaret Cole opened the door, already looking guilty. You knew something, I said. She admitted that Sophie and Ethan had shown her the staged photographs. They claimed I was drinking, forgetting things, and refusing treatment. Ethan asked her to help organize the anniversary because being surrounded by family might persuade me to accept help. Why didn't you call me? Sophie said confronting you could push you over the edge. I played the bedroom recording and showed her the reservoir map. My mother's face collapsed. She had spent years compensating for loving the quieter twin more easily. Sophie understood that guilt and used it to make our mother doubt me. Mom agreed to give a statement and attend the party as planned. For the next 2 days, I performed the role Ethan had written. I misplaced my keys, stared blankly when he mentioned invented conversations, and poured away every drink he handed me. Each time I appeared confused, he became more affectionate. The night before the party, he waited for me in the driveway. Where were you? With Claire. He closed his hand around my wrist. Tomorrow matters. I need you steady. I'll be there. His thumb moved over my pulse. After tomorrow, none of this will matter. He released me and went inside. Through the bedroom window, I saw Sophie waiting in a black nightdress. Ethan pulled her against him, and she smiled over his shoulder at the dark yard below. I wondered whether she could see me. Then she raised one hand and slowly closed the curtains. By 7, our house was full of people celebrating a marriage that had never existed. Ethan moved among the guests with one hand on my back, playing the patient husband. Sophie wore silver and jasmine. My mother greeted people at the door while Claire checked the audio feed on her phone. At 8:30, Ethan poured my wine himself. His thumb marked the stem as he handed it to me. To 10 years, he said. I touched the glass to my lips without drinking. When he turned away, I sealed a sample inside a small container Claire carried to the detectives. 15 minutes later, Ethan guided me toward the center of the room. You forgot to take your medication again, he said loudly. I don't take that medication. He exchanged a worried look with Sophie. This is what we've been dealing with, she told the guests. Around us, conversation stopped. Ethan lowered his voice. Don't make this harder than it needs to be. That was my cue. I connected my phone to the television. The security video appeared first. Sophie wearing my coat, while Ethan kissed her neck. Then came the hotel photograph from my wedding morning. Finally, their voices filled the room. The water will make the pills look like her choice. No one moved. Sophie stared at the television. Ethan stared at me. You went through my computer, he said. I found the insurance policy. I found the reservoir map. And the police have copies. He grabbed my wrist and pulled me down the hallway before the detectives could reach the door. He shoved me into the bedroom and locked it behind us. My phone remained in my hand, its microphone still transmitting. You destroyed everything, he said. I stopped you from killing me. He pressed me against the wall, one forearm below my throat. You were supposed to drink the wine, embarrass yourself, and go to sleep. Sophie would have done the rest. Driven my car into the reservoir? His expression changed when he realized he had answered the question. The door handle rattled. Ethan, Sophie called, open the door. He did not move. Then she said the one thing that made him step back. The police are here. Sophie pushed into the room before Ethan could relock the door. You said she would wake up in the hospital, she said. You never said the car would go into the water with her inside. I looked at my sister. You wrote that the water would make the pills look like my choice. Her face emptied. Ethan moved between us. She's twisting everything. Show her the plane ticket, I said. Sophie turned toward him. What ticket? Among the files was a reservation to Lisbon, leaving 2 days after my planned death. There was only one passenger, Ethan Walker. You said we were leaving together, Sophie whispered. I was booking yours later. You booked it 6 weeks ago. For 12 years, Sophie had believed Ethan chose me for stability, but wanted her. Now she finally saw the truth. He had chosen neither of us. He chose whatever each sister could give him. She backed toward the hallway. Ethan caught her arm. Tell them Hannah threatened you. Tell them she created the messages because she's jealous. And when I do that, do I get on the plane? He tightened his grip. Sophie pulled free and reached for my phone. I could not tell whether she meant to protect the recording or erase it. Ethan struck it from her hand. Then he grabbed me around the throat. The room erupted. Sophie drove her knee into his side. My mother shouted from the hallway. Claire pulled Sophie away while Ethan dragged me backward against the dresser. Detective Ramirez entered with his weapon raised. Let her go. Ethan looked at the open door, the witnesses, and the phone still recording on the floor. For the first time, I saw him without charm or control. He looked ordinary. He released me and raised his hands. An officer arrested Sophie minutes later. She screamed that she had saved me. Perhaps she had, in the final seconds. But she had also supplied the pills, forged my signature, written the reservoir message, and spent 12 years helping Ethan erase me. Saving my life did not return the years she had taken from it. The wine contained enough zolpidem to leave me unconscious. Sophie's prescription bottle was found in her room. Ethan's laptop contained the original insurance documents, the reservoir plan, and 12 years of messages. Ethan pleaded guilty to conspiracy to commit murder, attempted poisoning, insurance fraud, identity theft, and assault. He received 24 years in prison. Sophie cooperated after her arrest, but the evidence showed she had helped design the plan. She pleaded guilty to conspiracy, fraud, and identity theft and received 8 years. My mother was not charged. She had been manipulated, but that did not repair what her silence had cost us. We began speaking again slowly, with a therapist between us and boundaries neither of us was allowed to pretend she had forgotten. The insurer canceled the fraudulent policy change. The house remained mine, and the divorce was finalized without Ethan receiving any part of it. During the investigation, technicians recovered one deleted conversation from the night Ethan first met us. He had always known which twin he kissed behind the bar. He knew Sophie was wearing my dress and using my name. He encouraged her because secrecy made her feel chosen. The next morning, he asked me to dinner and told me the kiss had been ours. He built a rivalry before either sister understood there was a competition. 6 months after the sentencing, Sophie wrote to me from prison. She said Ethan had manipulated her. She said she had loved him first. At the bottom of the last page, she asked one question. If we're identical, why did everyone always choose you? I did not answer. The following spring, I sold the house. On the final morning, I stood in the empty bedroom where Ethan had touched both of us while convincing each sister she was special. There was no bed, no Jasmine, and no photograph proving which woman had belonged there. For most of my life, people had studied my face for differences. The length of my hair, the scar on my wrist, the way I entered a room. But the real difference was never physical. Sophie wanted someone else's life so badly that she surrendered her own. I carried my last box outside. The real estate agent waited beside the gate. When she saw me, she lifted a hand. Hannah? For the first time in my life, I did not wonder which sister she meant. Yes, I said, and only one woman turned around.